The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Tralama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at tralama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Tralama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. Our mission is to get you from playing contractor to running a successful and profitable business that supports your dreams. We are here to talk with flooring professionals from all over the country about the issues that matter to you. I want to encourage you to learn while you earn. Don't forget to check out our website and merch at flooracademypod.com or to become a patron over at patreon.com/flooracademy. Even $5 a month goes a long way to help this content to continue to be published. There are links in the show notes. This week's guests are PJ and Elouise Arthur. With over 50 years of experience in the carpet industry, PJ runs the Natural Fiber Installer Certification School. Realizing there was a problem between how woven goods should be installed, the way they were sold, and how they were manufactured, PJ wanted to do his part to keep this part of the industry alive. Listen in as we discover where his passion came from, how he developed NFIC, and what the certification has done for the industry, the installers, and him. PJ Arthur, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. Elouise Arthur, are you there?
Yes, I'm here as well.
Awesome. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. It's nice to have both of you here.
Thank you.
You're a name among names in the industry. You are very well respected, and you actually have your own school, PJ, where you have a certification that you've come up with. And I would love to. I've formerly had Scott Zito and now I'm going to forget his name and get yelled at. Nate Hall up in Milwaukee. See, there we go. They came on. They talked about NFIC, but now we're gonna get it straight from the horse's mouth, and we're gonna get into the avenues and alleyways that's created, and kind of what it's done for the industry as a whole, with you pushing to get properly trained in wool and natural fibers. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, giving us the background of who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got to where you are, the 30,000 foot overview, if you will. And Elouise, if you have anything to add that he forgets, I would love to hear. But let's start there. So I'm going to open the floor and let you take it away.
Okay, my name is PJ Arthur. I started NFIC, which stands for Natural Fiber Installation Certification, because I realized there's a great need in our industry for the installers, for salespeople, and for inspectors, as well as architects, our mill reps, anybody involved selling or having anything to do with these products. I saw the need by being a consultant for one of the mills or a few of the mills. They would send me all over the U.S. and Canada, and I'd see a lot of good installers, had great hands, but no one's ever taught them the techniques needed to understand how to work with these products. And I realized that was something I needed to do. I always wanted to have a school, never knew how to go about doing it. After joining CFI and learning their procedures, their platform, I said, well, now I know how to go about doing this. Thanks to CFI, I learned I learned a great deal from them, and as well as met a lot of good people. And I joined in 1997, and it's been a tremendous learning experience and help to me. But it wasn't on the product; it was everything else that you need to know, and hopefully help you in the trade.
What CFI number are you, PJ?
Well, I think it's I-88. That's for the inspectors, and I think it was 1,700. I think.
Very respectable. Okay. Well, I'm 17,580. So they've done some work in the meantime. I'll tell you that.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And I don't know for sure. I'm thinking that's what it is, but it may be more, maybe less. I don't know.
Okay.
I might up in a CFI book.
So you said you were working with mills and going around and inspecting stuff, and you realized that installers, well, they had great hand skills, they didn't have the proper hand skills for the woven and natural fiber goods. Where did you learn those skills? How did you know you were right, other than like the carpet's not failing?
Well, this is what I was brought up in. I started in '64 was when I did my first installation, 1964, and prior to that, I worked for my father as a gopher. I guess that's what we called it back then. I'd go for this and go for that, but he also taught me what he needed when he needed it, and that's what he expected from me until I learned how to do it myself. And in '64, I did, and the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today is because I've watched every synthetic product come and go in the industry, and there's been many of them. The first nylon product was DuPont 501. There's only 4 colors, and that's what started a synthetic fiber in the industry. And I've watched all those products come and go, as I said. But these products that I train on today have never changed. They're the same today as they were 100 years ago, so far as how they were made. And the integrity involved is next to none. And I show, when I do a training, I show a film of how these products are manufactured, because I think it's vital that the guys understand how they're manufactured, so they can help them to understand how to manipulate them if they had to. So I had a good foundation to start with, and through the years, I sold, I installed, I manufactured area roads, worked at the mills, did a little bit of everything, and I stayed within my industry, and so I felt I was qualified to do this, especially since nobody else knew what they were doing with it.
Well, there's got to be somebody that steps up and says there's a problem and we need to fix it. So I commend you for that, and then being able to stay that course.
Well, let me just clarify something. I'm sure it sounded arrogant to somebody. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm sure there's several people when I started. Because I met a lot of good people. I met a lot of people that, well, not a lot of people, but a few anyway, that understood the products to some degree. So I just felt I should clarify that.
No, you're good. I get it. So you've identified that there's a problem. You have a set of skills that's unlike other skill sets in the industry. It's not been passed down There's been products that have come along that are easier to put in, quicker to put in, cheaper to put in. And so the skill sets been lost, but you were introduced to people that helped you come up with a foundation to develop NFIC. So what was like the development path? How did that all come together?
Well, I have to give credit to those in CFI. Jim and Jane Walker were tremendous supporters of what I did, and we worked closely together. Jim and Eddie would come to my shop. Oh, by the way, we hosted a lot of CFI trainings at my place, and I got to know an awful lot of the CFI guys. And when you're able to network like you're able to with CFI, you meet a lot of good people, and you learn things that you probably wouldn't have done otherwise. If you had, it would probably take you a lot longer. I'll never forget taking the training, and Jerry Miller and Kenny Miles were my trainers, and I admired them so much, both of them. They didn't play around. I mean, you did what you're supposed to do, and there was no in between. And I respected that a great deal. And without spending a lot of time on it, I do want to give a shout out to Robert Barton, because there was several years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago, I had to go to Dallas to do an inspection. And I called Robert, and I said, Robert, I'm coming to Dallas. You want to have lunch? And he says, yeah, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to do an inspection. He said, you want some help? I said, well, sure. And it would be great to spend some time with him. And he just offered his time. It was a great time together. And the inspection went really well. Actually, it was pretty funny, because the whole problem was that when you stepped out of it was a high rise. When you step out of the elevator, there's only one way to turn, depending on which elevator you're going now. It's either left or your right. And there's a mirror from floor to ceiling at the end of that hallway. And the complaint was there was different color carpets on each floor. The installers didn't give a thought about which way to run it, because nothing was indicated they should. But when you looked into that mirror, you're either looking into or onto the pile, which made it look one way, one color or another. And you go to the next floor, and then they could have laid the carpet the other way, and same situation. So that was their complaint, and we got a good laugh out of that. And but it was things like that. Guys who I started out with, getting to know, I still know, and one of my good friends who had passed away 7 years ago is Fred Chastain, which a lot of the guys from the beginning know Fred very well. He and I covered a lot of the Southeast doing trainings for CFI. But my foundation was CFI, and getting the guys, it opened a lot of doors for me, just hearing what everybody had to say and learning what they knew. And it wasn't on the products that I train on, but it was there's a whole lot more to installing than it is just installing. And that's why I started the sales seminar training as well, because salespeople, they sold whatever the customer wanted and not what they needed. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize this. If you put Rebond pad down and put a wool carpet with jute backing on it, that Rebond will off gas and cause that carpet to soften and probably buckle or wrinkle. And it's always blamed on the installer. Well, that's not his fault. He put down what was sold. And that's why I feel like I've been a help in the industry, whether it be salespeople, inspectors, or installers. So that's there's a combination of things I learned from CFI as well as out in the industry.
Well, I think you're right. I think that you were able to join a great brotherhood and have a you had access to many brains. And when we get locked in to just our area, we may not be, well, look, I'll use Phoenix as an example. I'm trying to get a community going of installers. I have an event coming up. Well, this will come out in September, so it'll be back in July. But I have a group of like 60, 70 installers in the like Phoenix area right now. And I have 4 people committed, and 2 of the people own the shop that is hosting it. And then there's me that have said like, we're actually going to go. So you don't always have this great community or network or, you know, people that you're able to bounce ideas off of. And I think when you take the time to go and get a certification and you get involved with these industry organizations like CFI or NTCA, NWFA, depending on, you know, what part of the industry you're in, it really opens up your network. The online communities that have developed since social media has been around and the internet's come on board are just as amazing as well. As you can get on there and you can get technical questions answered, you can make friends, you can find out, you know, people are over here, over there. I can, you know, Nate's in Milwaukee, and so my wife is from outside of Milwaukee, and we go back there for Christmas every year. So last year when we went back, like I went and hung out with Nate for a couple hours on a project while he was working, and we just got to hang out and talk. And it was nice to go and meet somebody else that's highly involved in the industry and has a lot of knowledge and be able to just sit there and talk and learn. And so the doors that were opened for you allowed you to advance something that you were passionate about and you saw a problem with. And so these hand skills weren't in place, and the salespeople weren't necessarily doing it right. The mills weren't training the salespeople right. So you've been able to now create your own little brotherhood, and you have somewhere around 250 certified NFIC guys at this point. But I know that they're all very close knit, and there's a lot of them. Scott Zito and Don Perkins often will work projects together. I know you were just down bidding a project with Dan Churchill down in Florida, and another guy came in whose name I don't recognize, but I know that there's communication among them, and they will fly each other around and in on projects. And so you've built your own little networking community and brotherhood, which is very impressive, that there's the knowledge and the passion, and it's all being shared and exposed to more people.
That's right. One of the things I do outside of the trainings is install historical theaters. And so we've traveled, and Nate I started doing those, and I had Nate come in and be a part of it with me, and now Scott. And it's not just Nate and Scott, and Don is training to be a trainer. Dan's training to be a trainer, mm-hmm. And they're both not far off from that. Roland's a trainer. John Nama's a trainer. I'm blessed with qualified people, and as well as good friends. They're all good friends. And the best part about it is it's not something that I've seen in a lot of companies or organizations, is that we all know where business ends and friendship starts. You don't combine the two and make decisions. If it's a business decision, it's based on business, and then friendship is afterwards, and it makes for a good relationship, lasting relationships.
Well, I think that's a great. Go ahead.
7,002. I was way off in CFI.
I'm sorry. What was the number?
7,002.
Oh, hey, look, that's 10,000 more before me. No, that's awesome. So you're right. It's interesting that you bring that up, right? A lot of times you build these relationships, and even just running a business in general. Like if you're going to hang around your apprentice or your, co-installer all day, even if you're the boss, but they're no longer an apprentice, they're on equal footing with you. It can be an interesting situation that you may disagree on how to proceed with something, but at some point, somebody's the boss, somebody's the employee, somebody's the guest on the project, whatever it's going to be. And even if you hang out after work, have some drinks, your families get together, whatever it is you're doing, you've got to be able to differentiate that. And so what's some of the stuff that has helped you be able to do that? Is it setting up ground rules in the beginning? Is it just understanding on their behalf because they're professionals?
Well, that's it. They're professionals, and I've chosen each one for different reasons. Each one has a different reason for me asking them to be a part, and they've lived up to, each one has lived up to that expectation I had for them, and it was easy to do what we do, and CFI guys do the same thing. Anytime we get through with the training, we all get together, we have dinner, all have a good time talking, and they do the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think that's the camaraderie is really what we're after. Like learning the hand skills and furthering your education, getting a certification, getting that sheet of paper that says, you actually know something. That's all fine. That's fun. I think it's very important for the industry. What keeps the industry moving forward, though, is that camaraderie and the friendships and the relationships that are built. And that's what changes everything and keeps the right questions being asked. Because if you hadn't done CFI, would NFIC exist?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because my wife and I have said something about that several times. I don't think so. I'll say I've always wanted to do it, have a training organization or a training facility. I'll put it that way. I wasn't even thinking organization, facility. That's as far as it got until I met Jim Walker, and he and I sat, as I said earlier, we sat in Myers Library for 3 hours and talked and convinced me that at that point, I'd already been in the business 34 years, and that was 22 years ago that I sat down and talked with him. I realized, well, I'll see what I can learn from this, and I joined. I took the training, and then the light bulbs went off, and I started realizing, well, I can do what I wanted to do, but in a different way. I can use the same format. I mean, we train on different kinds of carpets, but nevertheless, we can use the same format, and it's helped me. So yeah, that gave me, CFI gave me the idea on how to go about doing it, and I owe them a great deal for that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's great. You never know where the inspiration is going to come from. A lot of us have, we have great ideas. We're visionaries, but we don't put anything into action a lot of time because we don't know how, and you don't know where that spark's going to come from that'll make it happen. So now, were you installing for retailers? Did you run your own show and you were out selling your own jobs and material? What was that setup like?
Well, I did installations for everybody that needed installations done, whether it be retailers or architects, designers, what have you, even the mills on the big jobs. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to know. So, I mean, you essentially, you were out selling you had a business. So how was,
Oh yeah,
like, you know, these days, a lot of guys, you know, right, they'll strictly subcontract for retailers, or there's guys like myself and Ken Ballin. So we will go and we sell all our own projects. We go direct to consumer. We don't want to deal with any retailers. We find people that will give us products so we can sell product on top of what we're doing. But I know essentially, even though NFIC is a business as well, even if you have it set up, I don't know how you have it set up, but if it is set up as a 501c3, like it's still a business. It doesn't matter if it's a not-for-profit business, it's still a business. So I wanted to know what that journey has been like to get it started and off the ground, as opposed to what it was like to get the, like, a flooring business off the ground, but also how much easier maybe was it because you had already built a business before?
Well, starting the business before wasn't anything like doing the trainings. I did have a business. I had a retail store. I had a rug manufacturing facility behind it. I had a training area for CFI training. That was before I started NFIC. And I had a pretty diversified business there within itself. And is when I started the NFIC, and so yeah, I did have a place in '07, which I'm sure '07 and '08, which I'm sure everybody remembers, some more than others. I was also president of the Georgia Floor Covering Association, and people started closing their doors left and right. And I was at a loss. I'm trying to figure out how I can help these people, and I couldn't even help myself. So we closed the shop down at that time, and from that point on, it was NFIC only, and that's all I've done since then.
Okay, what was the beginning of it? How did you really start getting it going and having it grow? Like I said, yeah, you've been doing it since 2007, 2008. You're at 250 guys. So it's not a fast process, but it's also not you're also not handing out certificates. And I don't say that in a bad way. I'm proud of what you've built, because I know when you certify somebody, they truly deserve it. And there's other places that I feel in the industry that you can pay the money and show minimal comprehension, and you're going to walk away with that sheet of paper. And so perhaps that sheet of paper within the industry may not hold as much weight as other ones.
No, as I had stated earlier about the integrity of the product, well, I want the integrity of the installer to pass through. And one of the things I'm really proud of is even when the guys that didn't pass, they would still be grateful for what they learned. And I can't remember a complaint. Even the ones who failed, I have not gotten a complaint from anybody for failing. They're just grateful for what they learned, because it was all new. So I'm very happy about that. I just feel that says a lot about what we're doing. I think without trying to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, I feel like that's one of the big things I'm really proud of. And
no, I think it says a lot about who you are as a person, and that you actually you're passionate about this. You truly believe in it. You truly think that it's worthwhile to have these hand skills continue to be passed on. And some people may not know what we're talking about, but what PJ's doing is, these guys, and I don't know if there's any gals that have come through, I would hope so, but when you go take NFIC, you're learning how to deconstruct woven goods and you're hand sewing them with thread and needle to make the seams. Like this isn't just learning how to use a cool glide and put some seam sealer down. Like that's not what's happening. This is very high level, intricate, detailed work. And there's a lot of preparation from my understanding that goes into it. And so I don't think even if you tried handing stuff out, one, that's not going to benefit you just because you're going to have people out there doing it wrong. And that's, you're trying to make sure that this part of the industry survives and moves on into the future because it is better. The quality of the goods is better than what's being pushed by most retailers at this point.
Well, it is. And like I said earlier, I've watched synthetics come and go through the years since 1964, and I've never seen these products change in any way. And I just feel like they're superior. And I don't teach guys how to install. You're supposed to already know how to install carpet. You need to have 5 years experience before you even take this course.
Okay.
Because I want you to and a good understanding of how to install. What I do teach is the techniques needed to understand how to work with these products. Like when you were talking about making a seam in a woven product, you don't just roll cut it, seal it, and seam it together. There's preparation there. You got to protect that chain stitch that's in there, and there's a real process there. And customers have to understand, whether it be a retailer, a regular customer, a homeowner, or whoever it is you're doing the job for you, they have to understand that you need the time you need to put it in. Back when I started, the average a day, it was 10 yards. That was the average day. And when I hear the yardage that gets put in today, it just blows me away. But we're talking about entirely different products and different times, different equipment, different people.
Yeah.
And it's been quite an experience. But that's what we teach. We teach techniques, and it's techniques that you have to know in order to understand how to work with these products.
Well, and the fact that you're teaching techniques, there's a problem in this industry to where apprentices are brought in. Most people are going to call them helpers. I hate that term. I don't think that's what they should be. But there's this old adage, and it's not just in the flooring industry, it's in the trades in general, of I'm going to teach you just enough to be helpful to me, but not enough that you can go out on your own. And you're over there teaching, the whole shebang. And it's not that you're not even doing it from the perspective of I'm running a company and I need these people to be able to produce for me. You're doing it from the perspective of the industry just needs this. And so these skills have to, if you weren't teaching them, they would probably disappear in the next 20 years, 30 years, maybe at the most. And now you have guys that are going to be able to carry this on. I know Scott's in his 30s, so he's got at least, I would hope 40, 50 years of being able to continue to show these skills and teach more people.
Sure. Scott is a very sharp individual. He's come very far in a short period of time. I'm very impressed with him. And if you've ever been in a shop, there's no way you couldn't be impressed with him. He's very particular, and I'm just impressed with his level of integrity when it comes to. I don't call anybody somebody that knows everything. What is it?
Arrogant?
No. Anyway. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Can I jump in here just a second, Kyle?
Of course.
This is
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that PJ just doesn't talk about much because, he feels like he's patting himself on the back, which he's not, because he's brought NFIC a long ways. You mentioned we have 250. We actually have 276 in U.S. and 123 in Canada.
Wow.
And I think PJ said before, it's not numbers, it's quality and integrity. And all that is what makes up NFIC. It is a lost art, what he teaches. And that's what he's passionate about, that it wasn't going to be lost. So he wanted the younger guys coming in who knew nothing about woven and tufted wools to know them, to appreciate them, and most of all, of course, be able to install them. And he talks with the salespeople about understanding the product so that they'll be more comfortable to sell it. And if they sell more, the mill sells more, and so on and so forth. And that's really what NFIC is all about.
Well, and we do recommend the installer bring his helper. We give the helper a book, just like we give the installer. He doesn't get certified, but is there to see what the guy he's working for learns, so he can be a better helper. Which we want to keep their information, so as years go by, they can be certified and be out there just like the person they were working for.
Oh, well, I mean, you're doing a grassroots movement to save a part of the industry that I think really. It really matters. I think if homeowners, well, sadly, most people move like every 5 years now, but if somebody was gonna, you get older, you kind of find a house and you're like, okay, this is gonna be my we're gonna settle down, we're gonna stay here, the kids are gone, we've downsized, like we're gonna live here 20 years, maybe 30 years, right? Like if homeowners were educated and knew properly like the difference in products, they would maybe be willing to invest more in a long-term house to buy an upgraded natural fiber carpet that's going to last them 30, 40 years, as opposed to a synthetic that, if it's taken care of, maybe you get 10 years out of it. It just, I think what you're doing is really, it's a huge benefit to the industry, and it offers a lot of options, not only for an installer to make better money, but I think for a retail shop to make better money when they get properly educated, and that there's other options out there besides what's just being pumped out and heavily advertised by the manufacturers.
Right, and these products they do last a long time. I'll give you an example. Nate and Scott and myself were doing a theater in Birmingham, Alabama, and we was taking up the carpet, and noticed on the back of the carpet a name that was imprinted, and it was called Karagujan. Well, in the 50s, my worked for Karagujan, and I thought, what a coincidence. Taking up a piece could be something he might have had a hand in. That would have been incredible. Just the thought of it was entertaining, yeah. And there was a lot of wear and tear left in that carpet. Even just in 5 years or 10 years, like you said, these products to the customer would just ugly out. They'll certainly never wear out, and not according to how often they change the carpet. But they're manufactured in a way that is next to none. You can't compare a woven product to a tufted product. You just can't do it. And you certainly can't compare wool to synthetic. Wool is a natural fiber, and somebody who I think a great deal of said one time to me, wool is a God-made fiber, and synthetic is a man-made fiber. I said, that's very true. And but it's a great fiber. You can't. A lot of mills try to emulate wool, but they do a good job. nice hand, but it'll never last like wool does.
No, yeah, it's when treated properly, something natural is going to last much longer than man-made items. I mean, there's mountains just sitting there, right? The Earth created them. They've been around thousands and thousands of years. They're not going anywhere. So when you're using materials properly, you're gonna end up further ahead. You've got, I mean, what is getting certified mean for somebody's business? Like what can it, I guess that's the question, right? Everyone's, what's NFIC going to do for me? What's CFI going to do for me? I look at it as, what can I make it do for me? And there's other people that say, what can I do for the organization? But I don't know that you necessarily get to that until you've experienced the camaraderie. So what will NFIC do for me? But then on the other side of that, once I've experienced it, what is it that people do for NFIC?
Well, my first thought when you started talking about that was what John F. Kennedy said. Ask not what this country can do for you, but what you can do for this country. Mm-hmm. I learned from these organizations, whether it be CFI or NFI, the other for that matter, what you learn is what you should give back. That's promoting it and helping others get involved, being a certifier, a trainer. It's a revolving. It's a cycle that everybody should go through, and it's very rewarding. Well, what it does for the installer is it sets them up, sets the bar in their portfolio, so to speak. It sets them above, and I'm very proud of everybody that takes it, whether they pass or not. They learn a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's. Go ahead.
Matter of fact, some of the mills will not. They won't. They'll put it in their guidelines that you have to be NFIC certified to install this product. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more gratifying outside of seeing a guy learn than to have that kind of support in the industry.
Well, and that's very respectable, and I think that means you've built a very strong brand with great recognition and respect behind it, because I don't read anything that says you have to be certified by CFI to install laminate, or I don't know, there may be projects that happen with like architects and stuff where they say you have to be NWFA, level 3 certified to come and install, or what do they call it? That's like advanced class or everyone's got something. I know that there's some specs that get written into commercial projects that it has to be a CTI certified tile installer, or maybe it needs to be I think there's like a 5-star recognition. I don't know how that works, but I know that there are sometimes it's spec'd out that you have to use a certified person to install, but it's not often, and it's not on residential projects generally, right? You don't have to be CFI R1 or R2 to put in the latest, whatever polypropylene carpet. It doesn't matter. It's
no.
Who taught you and go throw it in. But to have the industry that you're working so closely with, that segment, recognize what you're doing and say, yes, this is right. This will lead us to have successful installations, less claims, happier clients, happier installers. That speaks volumes about the mission that you're on.
I think it's for people that don't necessarily relate to that. I think if you were to say, well, which would you rather go to? Where would you rather take your car to? A certified mechanic or another garage that don't specify that they're certified or don't have the qualifications that those certified guys do. Most people go to a certified dealer.
Mm-hmm. I think when you learn how to properly, and look, there's always going to be the bottom barrel penny pinching people out there, but when consumers are properly educated, I find that price is very rarely the deciding factor. It's so many other things behind how you communicated with them. Did you show up on time? Were you able to answer their questions? Are you personable? Were you able to explain something to them that other people neglected? I was at a bid the other day and I left after an hour and a half for like 1,000 square foot project. Granted, I had to look at a laminate floor that she had installed herself and examine that on a different level to determine, could I just try and take up some rows or do board replacements to fix some of it. But she had said when I was leaving, everybody else that had come to bid that project so far was in and out within like 15 or 20 minutes. And so I think that time, right? Like I invested something, whether I get that project or not, she can at least, I gave her information to make an informed decision. And so when you properly educate a client, sure, they're going to go with the certified car dealership or they're going to go with the certified installer most likely. But when they don't have that information, well, this guy's $1,000 cheaper, so forget it. I'm just going to go with them.
Yeah. And that's one of the ways that we help retailers. I have a questionnaire. I have 50 questions with the answers that I thought those questions should be. And when they do an interview with the installer that's just coming to looking to work for them, they ask these 50 questions, and if they don't answer according to the answers I put down, then they need to give more thought as to how far this person would want to go. Would they want to be would they want to take one of these trainings, whether it be CFI or NFIC? So I think that's a very important part of helping others is helping them know the right questions. And you know, you can't teach somebody to sell. You have to teach them what they're selling. People sell from within. They sell from their mind. They sell from their heart. When somebody really understands something, you know right away that that's what you want to buy, because they make it very clear the advantages and disadvantages, and that's what we try to do also for salespeople to help them understand, and designers as well.
Well, okay, so along those lines, I think that's a great thing, is that you're saying that people need to sell from within, right? They need to kind of have some passion, they need to have some knowledge, but you're not talking about selling on technical aspects. You're talking about learning your products so that when someone presents you with, this is what I want, you can ask the right questions to identify how to fill their need. And that's not necessarily how the flooring industry works. Some of the manufacturers have kickbacks, right? And it changes from product to product, month to month. And as a commission-based installer, commission-based salesperson, I may be tempted to push the product with a kickback because my check can be bigger for the month, and instead of giving people what they actually need.
Well, that's, to each their own, I guess. I hate to think that that's the case, but you're right. It is a lot of times. when they push to higher end products, they get a higher end. Well, so far as what you just said, that's something they have to deal with, and they have to determine: am I going to be no? Am I going to be crying out loud? I'm sorry, I can't.
Well, I think are you trying to say that do they want to sell with integrity or not?
Integrity. That's what I was trying to say. Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you. I really believe a salesman, if they sell with integrity, they'll sell that customer's not going to go shopping. They're going to stay with that person because it comes through. That comes through. When you sell with integrity, it comes through as well as knowledge. I mean, those are the things that will make somebody a good career and a nice living.
Well, I agree. And I think when you solve somebody's problem, right, they came into if someone's coming into your shop, if they're calling you because you're the expert and they want your guidance. So it's not about them saying, I have people call me all the time and they're like, oh, I want luxury vinyl plank. And I'm like, well, why is that? How many other people are questioning their potential clients when they get the call and saying, well, why is it that you want that product? What research have you done? What's your lifestyle like? And so when you start digging into those questions and you try and get to understand your client, it's going to go a lot further. I mean, you wouldn't have NFIC wouldn't have done what it's doing had you, I'm sure you went to the manufacturers and these were the questions you were asking, why is it failing? What's your process? How are you putting this out there? Why is where's the lack, right? You were asking the right questions to actually get to the bottom to solve the issues instead of just saying there's a problem. I'll just teach people better hand skills. And it wasn't necessarily just about the hand skills, right? You had to approach the entire segment of the industry to find the solution. Right.
Right. And just like the inspector's part, we're a forensic inspection training. So we don't just look at the problem and say, yep, that's the problem. We investigate, we dig, and we find out why there's a problem. I mean, a lot of times the wrong person is the one that gets charged with the problem, and they didn't have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. So that's all segments of our industry. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to pass on to your customer, whoever it may be.
So what are PJ's tips? Like, what would you say you need to make sure you're hitting on to properly educate and help sell products properly?
Well, with installation, understanding the techniques. They have to understand, like I said, you just don't, like a Wilton, you don't just row cut it and seal it and put it together. You have to protect that chain stitch. There's a process in doing that. That's an installation. And then it's not just the wool, or it's not just the installation, it's the yarn as well. The wool reacts differently than synthetic, and there's different things you have to do to protect that wool. And a lot of people want to protect it by putting Scotch guard or something. Well, that'll just walk off in a matter of time, and it won't be too much time. So that's not advisable. Wool has its own characteristics so far as protecting itself, and synthetic certainly doesn't have that. And the inspection as well. You have to go, when I said forensic inspectors, that's digging into the problem, digging into every aspect of that installation. The salesperson, you try to have everybody there that had anything to do with that job. That's not always possible, but it's something you should try to do. And I think where a lot of inspectors get the customer riled up is because they talk too much to them. I don't recommend talking to a customer about what you're doing. You talk to them about everything else but that. What I tell customers is our protocol is we turn the inspection over to who hired us, and then they'll in turn give you a copy if that's their procedure. And that's I can't remember one that really had a problem with that. So that pretty much settles that so far as the customer goes. But there's just a lot of people just skim over the surface, and what we need to do is understand how to get involved in each of those areas to where the customer feels completely satisfied, and help them understand through an educational course as well. And they enjoy it. And when your customer goes to somebody in the showroom to sell them a product, if they can do what you just got through saying, well, why do you want this product, and help them understand what they really do need, well, that makes all the difference in the world.
I think so. I agree. I think when you give them the proper tools to make a determination on their own, instead of just saying, you asked for this, here's this, on your way, and then they've got buyer remorse 6 months down the road because it doesn't fit their lifestyle. You're not building long-term clients at that point. Why would they come back to your shop in another 5 or 10 years when they need a new product? They're going to go somewhere else because you didn't build a relationship with them and you didn't have integrity behind it. There was no value, right? There was a transaction. And I guess that's why I use the term client, because I think when you, the definition of client is someone you bring under your protection, right? Like a lawyer has a client. They're bringing them under their fold or into their fold, and they protect them, or they do their best to. A customer to me is somebody it's just transactional. Like I go to Walmart and I'm a customer. They're not building a relationship with me. They just want my money for whatever good they're providing me. And so sure. I don't want my installation business and my future retail business to have customers. I want there to be a relationship that's built, an educational foundation. I want them to know that they can tell whoever they want to call me and I'll get them pointed in the right direction. Whether you use me or not, I don't care, because I'd rather you have the education and can make a good informed decision about the direction you want to go, as opposed to me giving you a number and you saying, well, that's more expensive than everybody else. Well, okay. Let's figure out why I'm more expensive than everybody else. And part of that's the education.
Absolutely. At the top of my card, it says, where old world craftsmanship meets today's technology. We also teach the guys that even though you're working with a product that been made, there's products today or equipment today to use that you can use with these products, and that's where the old world meets today's new technology. Like the Cool Glide, like the Steamer Down Now, that process is incredible. I think it's that's all I use now. As a matter of fact, I don't use the traditional iron anymore. If a guy wants to learn on it, then I'll certainly do that. But there's so many advantages with the Cool Glide that the traditional doesn't have.
Well, and that's, I mean, like you said, the technology behind producing the product itself hasn't changed, but the product that can put the products that can put it together have changed, and you've updated and found ways to make them function and work, and it probably makes it easier. And that's why I think earlier you said, the goal was like 10 yards a day. And so that's a whopping 90 square feet, which isn't a lot, it's not even well, back then it was probably an entire bedroom. These days it's not an entire bedroom, but, you can get things done a little bit quicker. You're going to be able to function more efficiently when you're open to new technology. I think that's a huge point, is that you can't, just because you're dealing with a quote unquote old school product doesn't mean that you have to stick to the old school ways. If there's better and more efficient ways, then that you should be open to them, and you have to be open to continuing to learn and educate yourself and look at what's out there to stay up to date. But I think just it makes you more well-rounded.
Oh, sure. And when I started, there was no iron. We hand sewed everything, or either made pin tape with latex seams. I watched the iron come on the market. I've watched the knife come on the market, the razor blade knife. I've watched the electric staple gun come on the market. I've watched a lot of things come on the market. So yes, you have to keep up with your times in that respect, but you can still use today's technology with the old ways, and that's what we teach.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of our curriculum.
I love it. I'm glad that it's not disappearing. There's so many there's so many things that could disappear in this industry very quickly if people like you weren't around trying to keep traditions alive, keep knowledge alive. We would resort to, I don't even know. It'd be a scary world, even though I make a living from floating products. It would be a scary world to see something like natural fibers in floor coverings disappear because nobody could do it anymore. It would be a shame.
It would be a shame because there's a lot of people out there that has asthmatic problems, respiratory problems. And synthetic and hard surface does not help those people, because you sweep or vacuum a synthetic product or sweep a hard surface floor. What does it do? The dirt just flies up in the air again. Mm-hmm. Well, with wool, it clings to the wool, and so when you vacuum it, it doesn't fly up. It gets vacuumed into the vacuum. And so there's another advantage right there. And so we want to keep it around for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's, like I said, I think it's wonderful that this mission exists, that it's happening, that the manufacturers have jumped on board with you. You've been able to develop those relationships and really bring it together and kind of full circle to keep it going, and that you've been able to find other young, passionate people that are continuing to help push that mission forward. So, PJ, is there something that I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
I don't know.
Okay. Elouise, go ahead.
It's kind of like in the sales, though, when people, after they've gone through the sales course, they say, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get it. I know it's a weird question sometimes, in that, like, we may not have hit on anything. I'm just wondering if there's something from either one of you that we didn't hit on, and we really want to drive that note home about why this is so important, and being able to continue no matter what part of the industry you're in. If you have, stop thinking of them as trade secrets, and let the kids know how to do stuff. Encourage them to learn and show off their skills. To me, I say we need to make the trade sexy, because no one wants to get involved, because I think it's low pay and dirty no matter what area they're in. So if there's something that either one of you want to add that I didn't ask about, that's what I'm looking for.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, Kyle. I really do, because without you doing this, a lot of people wouldn't know what I'm doing outside of the ones that do. And it'll take a long time for the rest of them to get to know. But people like yourself, people like the person who gave me a lot of good advice when I first started NFIC, Bob Gillespie, along with Jim Walker, a lot of people in CFI. I just can't say enough for those. And everybody should have somebody they can look up to in the industry or whatever it is you're doing. My brother-in-law, Cameron Hildebrand, was the one I looked up to. Back in the day, my father was I think they just were taught this way. I can't imagine. My father was a hard guy. And he would, through the day, break me down. And I would work with my brother-in-law in the evening, and he would build me up. It was like a roller coaster ride the whole time I was learning. You need those people to inspire you and build you up and help you through going through. And I thank you for what you do, Kyle.
No, thank you. That means a lot. It's nice to have it be recognized that, once again, right, this isn't the traditional path of how information was shared. And so I appreciate that you respect the medium and how that people are just learning a different way now. That this is, it's not the same as going and having the in-person camaraderie, but we're getting that information spread.
Well, you're doing the same thing you said I'm doing.
Trying. We'll see what level I get it to. But no, it's good. And I think you're right. That building people up, it's let me ask you this. If you had only worked for your dad, do you think you would have continued in the flooring industry?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I couldn't wait to get away from this trade. But my brother-in-law is the one that made me look at it differently, and I really appreciated that about him. He'll always stand out in my mind as somebody that was a great encouragement, somebody I can look up to, and people need that today. Well, we've always needed it, and no, if it was just my father. And I learned after he died, I learned why he was like he was. I certainly would have liked to known it during the times we were together, but nevertheless, I did learn it. So I do have a different outlook. But there's always a reason for something, and there's people that'll help you look at things differently too. I was dealing with something and somebody, and Nate Hall brought up something that really got me thinking, and I pursued it, and it made a difference. So everybody should have somebody that doesn't mind voicing their opinion, and whether you take it or not is entirely up to you. But it's always good to have that.
Yeah. No, I think you bring up a couple good points in that. We need to be more encouraging, yelling at these kids. And I understand that there's some generational stuff going on between how baby boomers and Gen X deal with teaching versus how millennials and people from Gen Z are going to learn, and that, these kids are snowflakes and they're soft. But realistically, no one likes getting yelled at. It doesn't feel good. And so we have to take... Everyone wonders why we can't find any good help. Well, okay, yes, some kids are actually lazy, but maybe it's the way we treat them. Who's going to want to work hard for somebody that's just being an asshole to you all the time? Excuse my language, but it's, I don't want to work hard for you. I want to do the bare minimum to keep you off my back. You're not encouraging me. You're not building me up. You're not making me want to be better. And so, yes, the first opportunity I have to realize that your invoice says $5,000 and you pay me $500 a week, you're darn straight I'm going to go buy all the tools and go underbid you and bid it at $4,000 so I can put $4,000 in my pocket in a week instead of $500, because you didn't do anything to keep me around and build me up and make me a better installer. You just beat me down and pissed me off and made me want to go and work on my own. And so that's a huge point. And then just being able to have those people that you can bounce ideas off of and have those relationships, as we said, that you can build through going to doing these different certifications and participating in the industry on a bigger level than just running your own business in it, makes all the difference in your success. I've got handfuls of people at this point that I can call on at any given moment when I have a question, whether it be business related, installation related, product related, that I can just pick up my phone, call, no hesitation, get the answers I need, and I can move on. And if I was stuck here by myself to try and figure out half the problems I've encountered, I would have been out of business within 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. I think that, I think that's a great note to end on. PJ, if people want to reach you, where can they do that? How do they find NFIC? If they have questions for you, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they're always welcome to call. The office is 770-720-4537, or my cell is 770. Excuse me, that's wrong. It's 770-314-0259. The website is NFICnet.com. Email is NFIC2006@yahoo.com.
Okay.
They can reach me anytime. If they feel like it's not a good time to call the office and want to call my cell, it doesn't really matter, because if I'm not in the office, I transfer the phone to my cell, and so then I got the office and the cell at the same time, wherever I am. So.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I don't want to miss a call anywhere.
I get it. I wouldn't want to either. I'm the same way. My wife gets mad at me. Put it away. Turn it off. You don't need it. No, I need it. Well, yeah. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Elouise. I appreciate both of you and what you've built for this industry, what you've been able to keep alive and keep pushing forward to allow it to continue to exist.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome. And I'm sure we will talk again soon.
Very good. Look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome. Bye. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn while you earn.